Polis continues to refine and improve on their incredible method with Hen Duo Tria. So there's the original Polis book, and then they came out with Latin Unos, Duo, Tres, 1, 2, 3 in Latin, as well as Wais Now Shomt, 1, 2, 3 in Coptic, and now the Greek version. It is principally biblical Koine, but there are also lots of examples of the Attic version of certain expressions, of certain words and vocabulary. So really this is an excellent way to learn ancient Greek. It has alternative forms for Attic. Naturally, Polis is primarily concerned with biblical Koine, but does include some of these Attic forms too, which is nice. It should be self-evident that ancient Greek, whether classical Attic or Koine, is indeed the same language, but there are some small variations, and if you prefer one or the other, it's nice to know them. This variation, of course, being the imperative walk, peripate, which is, of course, it's also a verb in Attic, but it means to walk around, whereas badiste is the imperative in regular classical Attic. Whether your interest is more in Attic or Koine, don't worry, you're going to be able to use this and get a lot out of this. While the original Polis book, which of course is used in that Polis method, right, where you have the teacher that demonstrates with a subdoctor, an assistant teacher, oh, sit down, get up, go to the door, knock on the window, whatever. And then has the students do it. That's all in here too, but a lot more vocabulary, a lot more refinement, a lot more repetitions, lots and lots and lots and lots of pictures. Much as in the other thing. We've seen the Latin one, we've seen the Coptic one before, so all of that is fantastic. But it's nice. It's not entirely black and white. It has a subtle use of color where necessary, which is very useful. If you're not familiar with Polis and their method, it's about total physical response sequential. That is TPR plus S. And it is ideal for the classroom, especially when starting to teach a language. For example, here we have the teacher who commands aron melon, take an apple. And then asks ara sauto, did you take it? And then the student responds, era, I took it. And then the command pageto melon, ara epage sauto, epagon, I ate it. Aron poterion, ara era sauto, era, take the glass. Did you take it? I took it. Pie, ara epies, epion, drink. Did you drink? I drank. So that's the idea. Now, if you're a teacher and you have a physical classroom and you can interact with your student or students in person, then you absolutely can take advantage of this to imbue the ancient Greek language into the psyche of the people that you're teaching simply by the fond memories of the experiences. It's fun. Remember Simon says, go knock on the door. You do that, and it's fun. To be able to do that because there's a lot of excitement in that kind of engaging way. Does the book teach grammar? Of course it does, and it does it especially through example. For example, hapsaste tes keros, touch the hand, and of course that's in genitive case. You don't necessarily need to know that it's something called the genike ptosis right now. You simply need to be able to hear the form, understand it in context, and eventually produce it in time. And usually, if you're a student trying to command, you can always look at the book. Now, what if you are not a teacher and you don't have a teacher of ancient Greek, but you want to do this? If you have at least one other person with whom you can learn ancient Greek, that's fantastic. All of the pictures are very clear. You don't have to have a perfect understanding of the grammar. You don't have to understand why every form is changing. You simply need to know context dependently which forms to use, but they're all written for you. You simply have to give yourself that repetition. If you go through the whole book, you'll have a very good fundamental command of how to use the language actively. If you are on your own, then you're going to be in a similar situation like I discussed with both, of course, Wais Now Shomt. You've seen my videos here on this channel, Plymouth Plus, and as I talked about with Dibaki as well, which is the Polis book for the Coptic course. And what you can do on your own is read through it, read it aloud, act out as much as you can, command yourself to do it. But it's going to take a lot more effort because you're going to have to really use a lot of creative imagination. Still, I think this is valuable. This is definitely valuable for, obviously, beginners, but also potentially at an intermediate level as well, because I looked through and I saw a word that I didn't know, and I was like, oh, that's great. That's a new word I know. I can't remember what it was, but I remember even for intermediate learners, because you'll definitely be able to learn something, especially if you have the opportunity, like I said, to be learning this with someone else. You don't need a teacher. If you have someone else that you can regularly meet with to try to learn ancient Greek with this, or again, if you're on your own, then you can just try to give yourself the commands. Read through it if in that case. I mean, one idea you could do with this, both, of course, the Wise Now Shompt and Uno, Duo, Tres, is to read it all the way through and just recite it. I mean, if you're starting to learn this language, you're probably not comfortable yet sight reading the words aloud. So, of course, you see the pictures, you immediately know what the situation is, then say the sounds. Let the sounds. You're basically being that input. You're basically becoming the individuals in an immersive situation that give you the input, that you hear them talk, but you are their voice. You don't necessarily understand all the subtleties of the grammar and the vocabulary yet, but you understand what these words are meaning in context, much as if you were seeing things play out in front of you, either on a screen or in person. So if you do that, reading all the way through, you'll be good at sight reading Greek, which is fantastic. And then you can go back and go through it again and do more of the activities and try to bring all of these experiences alive as much as you possibly can. And then if you go to something else, it could be a reader, for example, at least you will have internalized the grammar and the vocabulary in this really tangible and personal way. So I do very much recommend Hen Duo Tria by Polis. They make great stuff. The link to Amazon, if you're interested, is in the description. Hygienete.